Let's take a look at round 2 and when things start to turn here, because now you open up the conversation of Brock Bowers, Trey McBride, and then if you're going to take a tight end that early, Matthew, you really, really have to have a plan or a comfort level with the running backs or wide receivers that come back to you in the following round, because that's as early as it gets for tight end, and your roster is definitely going to look a little different than everyone else's.
For sure. We've talked about this before. I much prefer McBride or Kittle than Bowers, at the 2-3 turn. I've often seen McBride and Kittle go in the middle of the third, all the way down to the middle of the third. I much prefer that than Bowers in the middle of the second, just because I think there's a very good chance, there's a decent chance that McBride or Kittle are the number 1 tight end in fantasy. And if Bowers winds up as the number 1 tight end in fantasy, I don't think he's significantly ahead of either of those guys, barring injury to anyone as well. But to your point, the idea of drafting a tight end that early is that you feel like you are getting an advantage at that position every single week. So what it means is that by doing that, I will tell you that in leagues this size, I tend not to go tight end and quarterback early. So like because you're not getting running backs, you're using one of those early rounds on a tight end. It means there's at least one round where you're going to be behind at either running back or wide receiver. And so the Josh Allens, Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels of the world are going in the 3rd round. Jalen Hurts is going in the 4th. I'm basically, if I take a tight end there, I'm generally saying, like, I'm waiting on quarterback. Right. Especially in a 1-quarterback league, I'd rather, because you don't want to be chasing at 2 positions. Especially because, I think it's a little bit about roster construction in terms of your comfort level. But yes, understand that that's the choice you're making, is that I want to win at tight end, and I'm going to have to try to find my way through at running back and wide receiver. But there's a lot more chances for one of those guys to pop than there is the tight ends of the, Bowers is the big example from last year, but those guys there aren't as many tight ends that pop year in, year out. We've a couple that we like. Tyler Warren's going to have a big year now with Daniel Jones. We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah. Mason Taylor, your Jets. I like Mason Taylor this year.
A lot of volume.
Yeah.
There's not much there.
He's competing with Alan Lazard and Josh Reynolds.
And Lazard is hurt already.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just saying, it's like after Garrett Wilson, there ain't much else out there.
There's not. If they throw the ball. They're operating like a service academy right now, if anyone's been watching.
It is. Okay.
I found that I just never end up with Bowers in a draft because there's so many guys in that middle to back end of the 2nd round that I really like Drake London, guys like Jonathan Taylor, Bucky Irving, Chase Brown, who I think should be, I don't think there's a huge gap between them and Derrick Henry and Genty, who are going much earlier. And then also I just think with tight end, like this year, Jake Ferguson's going tight end 16. That's better than the usual tight end 16, I feel like. Like Dalton Kincaid, tight end 14. Tyler Warren is outside the top 10 tight ends. I feel like there's a lot of depth. And Brock Bowers is going to be awesome. Brock Bowers isn't going to fail. He's also got new quarterback, new offensive coordinator, Ashton Genty's in the offense now. It's going to look different than it did last year. So there's
more variance than you would expect with a number 1 player at his position, the way Bowers was, for sure.
Yep. Getting back to another question here, guys. McGunnell said, what is Matthew Berry's exposure to Jaden Daniels?
Not as much as you would think. I wish. But I have found I have some shares of him, but to be honest with you, I always find, especially because this is going to sound so whatever, but the truth is that every league that I'm in, people are aware that I'm in that league, right? I don't go into leagues under an assumed name, so they know who I am, and they know that I'm a huge homer. So there's always somebody that reaches for him just to kind of F you, Barry, or mess with me. And I've said this, we said this on the show the other day. Honestly, I've actually got a lot more Jalen Hurts this year than Jaden Daniels because, as we talked about, I don't think there's a big difference between those big 4 guys. And Allen, Jackson, Daniels always go in the 3rd. Hurts goes in the 4th. And so I often find myself, somebody gets to Daniels before it comes to me, but then I come around in the 4th and I either get Hurts or I wait. I'm in a 12-team best ball league, super flex, and Daniels like the 3rd overall pick. So I wound up with Mahomes as my quarterback in the 2nd round. But so there you go. You see it right there. I have 5 spots between Daniels and Hurts. So I have them all as kind of in this 25 to 35 range.
Yeah, 20-player 25, Kyron Williams, and this goes all the way down to 36 with Marvin Harrison Jr. You brought up, you like the value of Kittle and Hurts, Matthew. They're back-to-back at 34 and 35.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.